Kimberly arrived at the restaurant, the cool night air biting at her skin. She tugged. Her sweater tighter, but the chill seemed to seep into her bones. The restaurant, a place filled with memories of laughter and shared meals with Michael and Angelica, now felt like a battleground. She checked her reflection in the glass of the door, her hand trembling as she smoothed her hair. Her heart hammered against her ribs, a frantic rhythm that belied the calm she was trying to project. She replayed her prepared words in her mind like a mantra, trying to ignore the memories that threatened to soften her. Resolve. She entered the restaurant, the clatter of voices a stark contrast to the coldness in her chest. She spotted Gregory near the entrance. A familiar warmth, unwelcome and unexpected, stirred within her as he smiled, his eyes crinkling at the corners. He leaned in to kiss her cheek, his touch sending a shiver down her spine, before settling across from her. She pulled back from his touch, a subtle movement, but enough to create space between them.
"Hello, darling,"
He said, his voice warm. "Hi," she replied, her voice catching in her throat. She hated how easily he disarmed her, how his presence made her feel insecure when she should be strong. She clenched her hands in her lap to stop them from reaching across the table.
"You look nice."
He said, his eyes lighting up, but he glanced away quickly as if unsure of her reaction. "Thanks," she said, her voice steady, but she avoided his gaze. She took a deep breath, the air catching in her lungs. "We need to talk, Gregory. This has gone too far." He nodded, his expression softening, his gaze returning to meet hers.
"I know. We need to make this right."
His voice wavered slightly, a small crack revealing a vulnerability he tried to hide. Their waiter arrived and Kimberly chose water. Gregory ordered a soda, and she used the moment to gather her thoughts, but the memories of shared meals and laughter tugged at her, creating an unwelcome sense of nostalgia. "I only have one question," she said, her voice steady. He leaned forward, his eyes searching hers.
"I was never unfaithful, Kimberly."
"That's your story and you're sticking to it, huh?" she asked, her voice laced with disbelief, shaking her head slowly. She felt a surge of anger at his easy denial.
"The truth doesn't change."
He insisted, his voice gaining intensity.
"You can ask today or 10 years from now, and my answer will remain the same. You are the only woman in my life."
He reached for her hand, but she pulled it back, her jaw clenched tight. "Why can't you just be honest with me?" she asked, her voice rising louder than she'd intended. She glanced around, realizing they weren't alone, but the heat of her frustration made it hard to care. She was tired of the lies, the years of doubt, the slow unraveling of their marriage. His face fell, a flicker of vulnerability she wasn't sure she could trust.
"I can see now that you came here with your mind already made up.
His voice was softer now, almost pleading.
What will it take for you to believe in the man you married, instead of the person who's supposedly out to destroy our relationship?"
He reached across the table, his fingers hovering near. Hers a hesitant touch. "The truth?" she replied, her voice cold, cutting through the air like a knife.
"Then let me get it."
He insisted, his voice gaining intensity, his eyes pleading with her.
"Let me find out who did this to us."
"That shouldn't be hard." She shot back, standing abruptly, unable to sit at the same table as him for one more second. She pushed back from the table, the chair scraping loudly against the floor. "You see him every morning in the mirror." She had waited so long to say that, the words tasted like ash in her mouth, his face twisted in disbelief.
"Kimberly, believe me, I never cheated on you."
His voice cracked, his eyes pleading for her trust, but she was too hurt to see it. "She knew about the scar you got from hopping the fence when you were 22. Kimberly snapped. "The only two people who should know about that are me and your doctor. Every time I checked on you, I'd find out she was right. The memory of the calls, the taunting voice that had chipped away at her trust, fueled her anger.
Kimberly, please.
He reached for her, his hand outstretched, as if he could pull her back. No, she interrupted, the anger she'd been holding back for so long spilling over. She had loved him with everything she had, and he had thrown it all away. I loved you with everything I had, and you destroyed something so pure, so right. All for what, Gregory? A quick fling because you were having a midlife crisis? I deserved better than that. Her voice broke, tears welling in her eyes.
And I deserved the chance to defend myself?
He said quietly, his voice filled with hurt. His words felt like a slap, and her vision blurred with tears. You had your chance, but you never came back to me. You never even tried. You just threw it all away for someone else. Her voice was raw with pain. Unable to bear another moment in his presence, Kimberly turned and stormed out of the restaurant. Her heels clicked sharply against the floor, the sound echoing her emotional state. The air outside felt colder, sharper, as she rushed to the waiting limousine. She slammed the door behind her chest rising and falling with each ragged breath. Back in her hotel room, she paced the floor, her steps heavy with guilt. She had meant to be strong, to stand firm, but now, the anger faded, replaced by a hollow ache in her chest. She had lashed out, unable to see past the bitterness that had been eating away at her for so long. She stopped at the window and stared out at the city lights. Her reflection stared back at her, a stranger she barely recognized. Gregory had only wanted to defend himself, and she had trampled on that. His grand gestures, the roses, the penthouse, the driver. Did he think they would buy her back? Eh? Part of her knew better than that. She knew they were about showing how deeply he still cared, but she had dismissed it all. She picked up the phone, her hand trembling.
Hello?
His voice was thick, groggy, a stark contrast to the anger he'd shown earlier. Did I wake you? She asked, her guilt rising like a tide, even after everything she had put him through. His first concern was still for her.
No.
He said, his voice still, thick with sleep.
Are you all right?
Gregory, I'm sorry, she said, the words tasting like ash on her tongue. For how I behaved tonight. It was juvenile, uncalled for.
Oh, Kimberly.
He sighed, the weight of his own grief pressing through his words.
I wish I could make this right. I miss you. I can't stand being apart.
Can we just talk? Like we used to? Her voice was barely above a whisper, a lump in her throat, making her words tight and raw.
Anything you want. We can talk about the weather if you want. Just please, let's talk.
His voice cracked with the weight of his emotions, revealing the depth of his own pain. Kimberly smiled through the tears that threatened to spill. Okay. No heavy stuff, let's just talk. They talked about the small things, work, memories, the little moments they had once shared. Their voices softened, their tones more tender, as they slipped back into their old ways. There were pauses, hesitations, but they both seemed to relax into the familiar rhythm of their conversation. It felt comfortable, like they had never been apart. For a moment it was just the two of them, finding solace in each other's company again.
Remember the Ferris wheel?
Gregory asked, his voice filled with affection, the question a reminder of their shared history. How could I forget? Kimberly replied, her heart aching as the memory washed over her, a wave of nostalgia softening her resolve. She closed her eyes, picturing them laughing together, her heart aching with a tenderness that she'd almost forgotten. For a moment she allowed herself to drift back to that night, to the young girl she used to be, and to the man who had once made her believe in forever.